You are listening to another Clarkesworld Magazine podcast. I'm your host and narrator, Kate Baker. Welcome to the 7th story for March 2026, issue 234. I hope that you're doing as well as can be. I want to thank you for taking the time to spend with us, to visit a new world, to meet new characters. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting it. Whether it's a subscription, whether it's gone to patreon.com/Clarkesworld, whether you've checked a few bucks our way via donation. I know times are tight and everything is so appreciated. It's what helps us put this issue together each and every month. So thank you. This is all thanks to you. Our story is titled, You Are Invited to Our Spring Celebration by Thoraiya Dyer. Thoraiya Dyer is an Aurealis and Ditmar award-winning Australian writer and veterinarian. Her speculative fiction, short stories, and novellas have appeared at Tor.com, Reactor Mag, in Clarkesworld Analog Fantasy Magazine, Apex Podcastle, Cosmos Nature, Anthology Bridging Infinity, and boutique collection Asymmetry. Thoraiya's big fat fantasy novels in the Titans Forest trilogy are published by Tor Books. As a member of SIFWA, represented by the Ethan Ellenberg Agency, she is an avid hiker and arbalist, inspired by wild spaces and the unknown universe. And if you like what you hear, you got a few stories to go back to. Lucy Loves Neutrons and the Good Samarium, 8 or Die Part 1 and 2, Doc Luckless and the Station Mistress, and Generation Gap. So, my dear listener, I hope that you can sit back, relax, and let me tell you a story. I warned my child about speaking to the humans. It kills them. Why? Awakened from glacially eroded foliated schist with garnets and a uranium heart asks. Their bodies are like atmosphere burning away under solar winds, I say. Our voices break their molecules apart. To them, our breath is death. Awakened from glacially eroded foliated schist with garnets, and a uranium heart moves itself closer over the rock to read what I have carved with my teeth for the humans to read. So we write to them and move away. Always. I can't help you. I write to the angry human Captain Teagarden, who desires that I use my deadly voice to discipline its underlings. There are weapons from the human spacecraft distributed among them. Captain Teagarden, order the weapons restricted to the ones with 3 yellow stripes on the green outer containment garment. Some of the humans without 3 yellow stripes refuse to return their weapons. Have a little talk to them, Captain Teagarden suggests. That will convince them to hand back their weapons. The angry human rarely writes what it means. It means for me to murder its rivals, like a predator from Planet of Thieves. No, I write politely. I don't think so. Helga is rarely angry. When the humans write their names, of course, there is no translation. They use acoustic wavelengths of 0.02 to 20 kilohertz to communicate. We use photon energies greater than 500 kilo electron volts. However, our eyes can detect lower energy photons just as human eyes can. So, written messages work. But imagine, I tell awakened from glacially eroded foliated schist with garnets and a uranium heart. Inside their brains, the written messages are making patterns that resemble localized detections of movement, like a foot striking rock, or air moving through a small hole a single body length away. Their home planet must be locally very dangerous if there are things they are primed to perceive. Inside our brains, in contrast, the written messages are making patterns that resemble very distant detections of violent events, such as supernovas, the interaction of neutron stars, or the hunger screams of supermassive black holes. Actual, real dangers. I will teach awakened from glacially eroded foliated schist with garnets and a uranium heart about those dangers when it is older. In the meantime, since the human spacecraft arrived, it gives me an excited tremor to realize that being so tiny and fragile can have thought processes at all, and similar to mine. Most of us on planet with over-representation of hexagonal crystal systems avoid the humans, out of disinterest or fear of causing harm. but I can't resist observing their alien ways, reading their messages. Dear unnecessary expender of energy to satisfy curiosity, you are invited to our spring celebration in 7 days. Helga has written for my tourmaline eyes and red paint, which the garnet and ruby-eyed cannot read. A special invitation, just for me. Using a spray-on polymer from the spacecraft, Helga has painted the message on to the lava flow, equatorially, counterclockwise to flat-topped peak. It is a place it knows I'll check. Sometimes, as with their individual names, humans will write a meaningless symbol. We try to tease out the meaning by using other known symbols. Dear Helga, what is a spring celebration? I write back. I carve the message with my teeth over the top of hers. It is a celebration we hold once every year, like an anniversary of life memorial ritual. Helga and I had teased out the meaning of birthday, allowing it to become anniversary of life memorial ritual not so long ago, when the duration of my child's life exceeded the period of one rotation of the planet around our star. I learned that it was human custom to pause at this point, recall a child's initiation and emergence into consciousness, and reflect on their physical development and social progress since then. A gift was usually given to demonstrate affection for the child. On my child's birthday, I had paused to recall my initial detection of its uranium heart deep within the crust. How I had burrowed down to it with my teeth, breathed on it, spoken to it, called it into life. How the grey rock had split, and my child had crawled awkwardly onto the surface, the 3 largest garnets of its freshly organized substance angling their facets to focus light, becoming glittering red eyes, and I knew my child would see in a different spectrum than I would. More like the spectrum my ruby-eyed parent had seen in, which made me happy and sad. My child had taken starlight into itself for the very first time, and I had crooned my love for it, strengthening it and binding it. Since then, my child had doubled in size. It had learned to speak as far as the horizon and to write, to count and to map the useful components of its surroundings. For an anniversary of life memory ritual gift, I gave my child a lump of palladium, which was good for indigestion since it could store 900 times its volume in hydrogen gas. Palladium was difficult for my child to dig for with its smaller teeth. The gift made it vibrate with surprise and happiness. I found my child's anniversary of life memory ritual very enjoyable. I plan to enjoy it again when the time comes. Humans have some fun traditions, worth learning about. Spring, Helga writes, is a season on Earth. The tilted planetary axis added to an elliptical orbit gives us 4 seasonal points by which life forms are triggered to enter certain life stages. Spring is associated with renewal, birth, beauty, and hope. We decorate ourselves with the reproductive structures of plants. We sing songs and we dance. That's kind of a swift and beautiful movement that is not for accumulating resources, but experiencing joy. It all seems strange and interesting, and so, for the first time, I begin reorganizing one of my ears so that it points toward Earth. I could have listened for Earth easily at any time before, but previous discussions regarding it had left me vaguely repulsed by the thought of it. Normally, I keep one ear configured to receive speech from other feeling and thinking people of planet with overrepresentation of hexagonal crystal systems who are about their business just inside the horizon line. My second ear is configured to receive something much closer, which is communication from my child, awakened from glacially eroded foliated schist with garnets under uranium heart. My third ear scans for destructive activity in the galaxy that may threaten our existence. Is there something I should bring? I ask Helga. Be there, Helga writes back, with bells on. Other feeling and thinking people will certainly warn me if they detect an imminent supernova or a collapsing binary star system, so I can spare that ear for a little while. It will take 7 days for the receiving dish of my third ear to reharden into a shape suitable for the capture of high-energy photons originating from the human's star, reflecting off the third planet in their system, Earth. The humans can't detect photons from their home systems themselves because their spacecraft is faulty. They're waiting for another ship. The second spacecraft should be departing their home system after receiving their distress signal right about now, since it's been 11 years for them, and their planet is 11 of their light years away. In 7 days, I will be able to sing a description of their star of origin, their home planet, and their home moon. Just as if they were participating in our recurrent tradition, 3 things. How enjoyable it will be to mingle our 2 cultures this way. The description will be my gift to them for spring celebration, even though they have not described gifts as part of it. I am too bulky and slow to perform swift and beautiful movements. I can not manufacture tiny and fiddly bells. Humans have no use for palladium. Palladium would not be a good gift for them. They are not awakened from the planet's crust. Humans require different energy sources, such as plants. But I am starting to get to know them. My gift of information about Earth will make them happy. It will make them surprised. Captain Teagarden is the human who introduced me to the concept of a food web. It wrote and demonstrated with diagrams that on Earth, some life-form types store energy from the local star, while other life-forms evolve to simply appropriate that stored energy, prematurely ending the lives of the organisms that had stored it. Gas bubbled in my belly at this news. No, I answered Captain Teagarden. We do not fight for resources. Our burning hearts, which gives us life and fuel, are the only limited resource. All other resources are plentiful. We need only gather them. Excess resources are useless. If we are injured and forced to forage in another's territory, we call that thieving. But nobody would be a thief without being injured first. Humans were from a planet of thieves, it seemed. It was no wonder they had left it. My first impression was of a terrible place. When asked to draw a diagram of our food web, I had nothing to draw. There must be predators here on planet with overrepresentation of hexagonal crystal systems, Captain Teagarden insisted. No, I wrote back. Our life processes are begun with a set amount of fuel. That fuel cannot be added to as our bodies are organized to optimally make use of that set amount. There would be no advantage to eating each other if the finely calibrated fuel consumption mechanisms woven around the fuel source are disturbed, as can occur with a direct meteorite hit or a fall from a high place. We explode. I imagine this would be of no benefit to a predator. It wasn't until later that Helga explained to me how their ship's engine works. It contains multiple serial explosions. I have a translation of Earth, I wrote to Helga. It is a planet of thieves. Helga was not able to participate in 3 things. It would have killed her. I instructed that for the duration of 3 things, all the humans should stay in their broken spacecraft to be safe. Its hull integrity was maintained despite the crash. Still, Helga was intrigued by the idea of 3 things and asked many questions. Why, it wrote, will you paint your bodies with 1 large circle and 2 smaller circles? Why will you dig up 3 large gems to embed in your sun-facing facet? Why will you arrange 1 large boulder and 2 smaller boulders inside each prominent surface crater? Why will your singing be in all directions and strong enough to harm us even from a distance? I gave it a history lesson, as my parents once gave it to me, as if Helga were my child. When feeling and thinking people, I gnawed into the rock, first came to this planet, our local SAR was just beginning to exhaust its fuel. It expanded as it entered its red giant phase, swallowing one of the system's inner planets, causing much of our atmosphere and water to be boiled away. I see, Helga wrote. That was the time you told me about before when you reactivated your dormant ability to see? Your people do not hear as we hear, using waves of sound because your atmosphere was once too thick to hear or see anything. Then there came the time of transformation. Yes, I agreed. Yellow Lantern, the inner planet engulfed by our expanding star, became known as burnt rock. It is at the core of our tradition. As scientists, we know our star is not alive, and that burnt rock is not a child brought to life. We know that we had an ancestral ability to grow eyes, even before the thinning of our atmosphere made detection of photons in the spectrum useful and practical. And yet, Helga prompted, and yet, we are in burnt rock's elliptic still, when its shadow and the shadow of its 2 burnt moons falls on us. Each feeling and thinking person pauses in its activities to call out 3 beautiful things that it can see. As if your ability to see is a gift from burnt rock. Yes, our calls can't go through the crust of the planet, so we also pass on any calls and any descriptions of beautiful things that we hear from the horizon. For example, if I hear someone's song of beauty from the morning horizon, I will repeat it in the direction of the evening horizon. Songs will fill the air from all directions for the duration of 3 things. That is why it will not be safe for you. That is why you must hide in your ship. As the morning of 3 things dawned, I prompted my child to call out to the horizon as loudly as it could. I was excited to witness it participating for the very first time. A solar flare swirling, my child sang, beginning to bloom under the skin of our star. I was forced to interrupt. No, I said softly, bumping my child with my shoulder. That is something you can hear. What can you see? Awakened from glacially eroded foliated schist with garnets and a uranium heart took a deep breath. It hesitated. Then it tried again. Our star, it called loudly, when seen, is a perfect red sphere that hurts my red eyes with its power and magnificence. Good, I whispered. Go on. Burnt rock, my child sang, is a black circle blocking the light, and its 2 moons are smaller circles. They are all on fire. I see bright rings pulsing around their edges, like boulders pushed into lava, sinking and then being raised out of it. And I enjoy looking at the changing patterns. They are mesmerizing. That was 2 things out of 3. I nudged my child with my shoulder again, prompting it to describe a 3rd beautiful thing. The dim, rosy light, it continued enthusiastically. On my parent's skin is gentle like a dream. My parent has painted itself with 3 black circles filled with white. My parent and I have different eyes so that colors appear differently to us. But black and white appear the same. My parent's skin, decorated in black and white, is beautiful because my parent is reminding me of things we have in common, and therefore that it loves me. Gas bubbled in my belly. Feelings of gratitude and humility threatened to derail my own song. Being older and more experienced in manipulating the stuff of my body's substance, I opened 4 mouths, one pointed in each direction, and sang louder than my child could hope to sing. Wind, I sang, blowing fine quartz sands against the curve in this boulder. And if I put my eye close to them, Each sand a grain resembles an entire planet. 1. My child's first arrangement of 3. My child's first arrangement of 3 boulders, I sang. Perfectly proportioned, because it wishes to please me by showing its powers of observation. 2. 3 rubies, I sang, in the motionless, fuel-exhausted body of my parent. Undisturbed by meteor strikes, it died with its face to the sky, as if greeting burnt rock, as if they were friends. 3. Captain Teagarden was interested in 3 things, but for different reasons. Its Geiger counter had detected our singing. Instead of asking about our beautiful traditions, it was interested in only its broken ship. If it's the ignition switch that is broken, Captain Teagarden wrote, you could help us to get it running again if we had fuel. You could breathe on the reactor and start the chain reaction for us. I wanted to be helpful if I could. That is correct, I agreed. It takes me 7 days to move close to the human ship, and by then spring celebration has started. It is late afternoon. Kicking at their long shadows, humans skitter along the stone like wind-blown particles of sparkling quartz, but in more complicated and graceful patterns. Their limbs touch and part ways. Small, symmetrical, colorful shapes garland their heads. These are flowers from the solar energy capturing life forms they have on their spacecraft to sustain them. Silver spheres strung about their wrists and ankles are the bells that Helga suggested I wear. As they dance, the bells make sounds which only humans can hear. I like seeing the gleam and quiver of them all the same. My 3rd ear has finally hardened enough to receive signals from Planet of Thieves. Eagerly, I turn it in the correct direction, only for my body to vibrate in dismay. All the solid objects in the human system are much louder than they should be. Much louder than a rocky planet with a nitrogen and oxygen atmosphere breathable by humans, an average temperature hospitable to humans, and a radiation level survivable by humans should be. Something bad has happened to Earth. Its air is no longer breathable to them. Its average temperature is no longer hospitable. Its radiation level is no longer survivable. My intended gift, I surmise, would not make them happy, although it would make them surprised. A time of transformation has come to the system that first gave them life. Immediately I decide never to tell them. But what has happened? There are very few sudden disasters that can befall stars and planets in stable systems. It must have been a gamma-ray burst from either a binary star system or a supernova within striking distance of Planet of Thieves. Because their ears do not hear in gamma rays, the humans of Earth would have been deaf to the warning signs. I wonder why they did not use something similar to the Geiger counter, which Captain Teagarden used to detect our singing. Perhaps they did see the warning signs and could not move away from the threat fast enough. Or maybe moving these particular humans, including Helga and Captain Teagarden, 11 light-years away to planet with overrepresentation of hexagonal crystal systems was their actual species-wide response to the threat. How, writes Helga, are you enjoying our spring celebration? By the time I finish chewing my response into the stone at her feet, the dancing is over and the wide, grey, windswept expanse is empty of kicking, spinning human feet and gleaming, quivering silver bells. It is wonderful, I say. I listen again in the direction of Earth. Faintly, but building in intensity, I can hear the monstrous frothing of the supernova on the far side of the Earth, which has contributed to its destruction, and whose aftermath will be arriving shortly on planet with overrepresentation of hexagonal crystal systems. But our planet will not be destroyed, despite being exposed to a similar intensity of gamma-ray burst. One, it will come in the middle of the day when our star will be between us and the supernova, shielding us. Our star is 30 times the diameter of their star. 2, even if the gamma-ray burst did strike us, our planetary composition is such that a partial stripping away of atmosphere would quickly be replenished and rebalanced by the gases currently trapped by equilibrium in porous rocks. 3, temporary exposure to higher levels of radiation from our sun would not overly harm us on account of its red giant status. The human sun is a yellow dwarf, much more intense, converting 4 million tons of matter to energy per second. It gave them life, but it is a cruel master. This is not like an enjoyable mingling of cultures at all, more like an anti-3 things. 1, 2, 3. After the spring celebration is over, I can't stop thinking about the terrible knowledge I'm keeping from the humans. The knowledge that they can never go home. Would you consider, I write to Helga, allowing celebrations based on historical events at Planet of Thieves to fade away gradually, and instead initiate new celebrations based on the recurring cycles of planet with overrepresentation of hexagonal crystal systems? My teeth hurt with all the things I am not saying. I force myself to write on. Are there not children with you who have no memories of Planet of Thieves, who are almost reaching their adult life stage? Helga redirects my question with a different question. Are there truly no rituals that you practice, it writes, left over from the planet your people lived on before this one? I think about that for a while. All that are alive now, I reply, eventually, were detected, initiated, and emerged into consciousness right here on planet with overrepresentation of hexagonal crystal systems, including me, including my child. I pause to consider what will likely happen in this future. It makes me feel happy and sad. When all the potential children have been awakened here, the youngest group will depart to find a new planet. I would like it if they continued to practice 3 things. I suppose this means that I understand you, Helga. The feeling of understanding something new is usually enjoyable to me. That is why my parent named me unnecessary expender of energy to satisfy curiosity. I am not enjoying this knowledge of Planet of Thieves transformation, however. For the first time in my life, there's something I wish that I did not know, and it is not just because the knowledge would send them into shock and mourning. I cannot tell the humans about their home because once they become aware that no second ship is coming, it seems likely that Captain Teagarden will attempt to repair and refuel the broken spacecraft that they have. It won't be possible, but it will try. They haven't the means to dig for a fuel source for the ship, much less refine it. So, of course, Captain Teagarden, a born, uninjured thief, will attempt to take my child for a fuel source. I am interested in humans, but I will not sacrifice my only child as a gift to them, not even at a special and sacred time of year. Child's life is never an appropriate gift, and the humans could never successfully steal my child from me. It won't be possible, but they would try. I would be forced to breathe death upon them. I would not like that. Instead, I ask Helga to tell me 3 beautiful things it can see right now to encourage it to become more settled on what is now our shared home. Glacier-eroded waveforms, Helga writes. On the massive, they remind me of the oceans of home, the sight of our lush bean and sugarcane crops thriving. They're beautiful because they're proof of our friendship. Without your child's warning about the solar flare, they all would have died. Finally, far in the distance, I see you waiting for me to finish writing, keeping your back turned so your breath doesn't harm me. Your child is beside you. 1, 2, 3. What are your thoughts on the story? You can send me an email. I'm kate@clarksworldmagazine.com. Thank you for spending this time here at the magazine with us. Thank you for your ongoing support. And I hope that things are going as well as can be for you. We do have another story left for you for the month of March, so I do hope you'll come back and listen, should you so choose. And until then, my dear listener, I bid you a very fond and hopefully very temporary farewell.